Howdy there, peoples. So, I'm working on the yzf750, pardon me, engine, going through wiring. And what I'm doing, I have a lot of stuff hooked up. I finally got relays hooked up and just all kinds of stuff. I have both handlebar controls. Everything I've done here, I've pieced together separately. So, that's why it's been so tough. If I had an original wiring harness like that was all hooked up on a bike, that'd be one thing. But I've gotten each turn signal switch separately. I've gotten the gauges separately. You know, the ignition, which of course it said it was for this bike, but it didn't work. So I had to figure that one out and rewire it. But yeah, I have my gauges, my controls, and now what I'm doing is I'm going through the wiring, and wiring's not my favorite thing. I mean, I can totally do it, but I hate it. I always say I hate wiring, and then people assume that I can't do it. But here we go. I actually can, I just don't want to. So I'm using the diagram to get all the loose ends figured out. I got these two for the coils. Of course, the diagram doesn't tell me which coil, which spark plug gets which wire, you know, and which of these are for which cylinders. So there's four. I got these two, these two. I got my coils, I don't know if we can see that over there, hanging on the wall over there with some plugs I'm going to splice in. I hope I can do that. I didn't get the plug extensions that are, let's see if I can do this. Right there. The little, that's a giant finger. Let me unzoom here, see if I look less ridiculous. Okay, so yeah, right there, that little guy. They have to be really long because they go down way in there, and it's just hard to get in there and stuff. I don't have any plugs in right now. You can see in there. Anyway, yeah, so I have this all hooked up. I have an ignition key, and I'm gonna dial in every single cord, every single wire on this harness. So I'm like, everything, because I plan on using this harness in a little sand rail that I'm making, and I want every single thing hooked up. Brake lights, turn signals, headlights, and then, you know, all the gauges I want to function. I mean, I don't know if I'm going to be able to do a correct speedometer type deal, but I can at least get the tach working, temperature. I already have it, so I'm making progress. I can hook up to my battery here. I made this little engine stand adapter, which actually is what's going to be the rear in my baja. I just bolted it on here. I could only get these two bottom bolts, so then I used these mounts as like a way to capture the top, kind of. But I was able to put on the exhaust as well. I haven't figured it. I'm just gonna kind of hang the radiator off the front, I guess, for now, because I want to get this thing to fire up on the stand before I hook it up, before I install it, because I don't want to have to get in there and get it running while it's behind the seats and inside the cage and all that stuff. That would be a pain. So yeah, that's where I'm at. I'm gonna get this thing dialed in come hell or high water. But amazingly, I've got it to the point where I can turn on the ignition, everything lights up on my little dash. I can switch. I don't have headlights hooked up, but I can switch the high-low beam, and like this light turns on. I throw it in neutral. My neutral light comes on. I don't have any gas hooked up yet, a tank or anything, so that doesn't work. But I was able to hit the, switch it to run, and then hit the start button, and sure enough, this thing turned over. And so, I'm making progress on this bad boy. So, anyway, if you want to see what ends up happening with this motor, sorry for the bad filming. I was kind of zoning out there and with the camera as I'm looking at the engine. But if you want to see the rest of this, I'm going to keep making videos. I've already got some videos up, but feel free to subscribe. Hit the like if you like it. I'm sure no one will like this video because it's been kind of dumb, but I just wanted to keep an update of where I'm at with this motor, and I'll make another video soon about where I'm at with the Baja itself, and then yeah, it'll be awesome. So subscribe and become part of the journey. All right, adios.